I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, February the 21st, where the boxed beef had a breakout. And I'll tell you what, we heard a lot of talk last week about perhaps the boxed beef cutout values bottoming out sometime either last week or this week, and then starting to see maybe some slow increase in them and come back, which is normally normal for this season, and it's a kind of a seasonal flow there. But some of your retailers coming back into the market and starting to get ready for some more cookout type things in areas where it's starting to turn spring already. But just getting out of that holiday, that cold winter lull, and just the comfort foods of the roast beefs and things like that, and starting to get into some of those higher dollar cuts and your middle meat cuts there. But man, oh man, did we really see it come out. It saw some mild support late last week, and then this week already it's just spiked up there and almost already seen all the gains that we were hoping to see in this mild rally, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down any. But packer margins were getting really tight, and we've talked about that the last year or so. These packers have really not lost any money to speak of, and I don't mean for a quarter or for a year. I mean for a week or even a day. They've just been keeping those chain speeds going and moving that product right through the line, and increasing the money that they're getting for their product every time that they had to pay a dime more for any cattle. And that's what they did this week already. You saw where we got to the 130 last week on fat cattle, which was a big test of the market and a big level to achieve for your feedlots. But then your packers are going to pass that right along, and they did. They sent out new price lists and really cranked that cutout value level up. But the heck of it is, they're moving product at that price, so that's great. We need them to make some money, but let's let them make it on that end and not on our end. But you look at the board, call the board the Chicago Mercantile live and feeder cattle futures, and your April live cattle up 7 cents the end of the day on Tuesday at 127.72. February spot live cattle contract, and it's really winding down. There's hardly any open interest in it at all, and it's just about done for. We're getting here close to the end of February, but up 20 cents at 130.30, so no reason to believe that we can't maintain at least steady money there. March feeder cattle up 7 cents, 149.80, and April is up a nickel at 152.45. Of course, it's too early to have any idea what your fat cattle trade is going to be, but I'll tell you what, nobody really thinks it's not like we just jumped up there and rung that 130 bell and now we're going back down. I think we can at least hold steady this week and don't give up on them. You know, maybe you can squeeze another buck or two this week and build this market as big as you can build it, because let me tell you, we get into March and some of those heavier levels of market ready fat cattle hitting the show list, they'll show you how they can take it down, and they'll chop it down in hunks. So we need to build that market up as much as we can while we still got the leverage. But the box beef cutout values would open this report with huge gains on Tuesday. Choice cutouts 215.92, up $3.35 for the day there. That is a huge gain. You just don't see that. Selects at 210.40, up 297, and you're starting to see that choice select spread widen back out again as you see the buying in go back on the more expensive cuts. But $5.52 on the choice select spread. Now they are going to dial the slaughter back a little bit to get through these last several weeks here of tight market ready numbers, but you can see that it's been dialed back a little bit, and they'll be looking for any reason to do a cooler cleaning or some maintenance or something like that. But 213,000 so far for the week. That compares to 227,000 this time last week and 215,000 the same week a year ago. But look at your feeder cattle markets. The real-time index on Beef Market Central based on the 800-pound steer laid on Tuesday at 147.63. That was down 82 cents. I'm not saying the market's that much down, but dominated by some bigger calves, and had some big sales in the southern plains, not so many in the northern plains. Phillip and some of those big Tuesday markets in the northern plains did not have a sale this week, or not a big sale, and so we didn't hold that together. But that's the way that thing ebbs and flows there, where your market's at. But it's cut through the middle 12 states there, and when your sales are dominated in the southern plains, it's gonna pull a little bit off of there, and it did on Tuesday, but likely be back on Wednesday. But OKC West had their calf sale, 3,000 head in El Reno, and they really just had a weather market. We've had a blast of cold come in here. We've got some slick roads with some sleet, some freezing rain in places, and really just a bitter cold and windy and miserable type weather. And they sold their calves $2 to $3 lower, and I think that the weather probably had more to do with that. It was going to be hard to go some directions out of El Reno there because of the road conditions and things like that, but still sold 3,000 calves, and we'll see what they do with their yearling and big feeders on Wednesday. But look at some individual quotes. I'm going to give you several of them because I had several on here that I wanted to talk about. Ozarks Regional Stockyards, West Plains, Missouri. They sold some calves really high last week, and I'm telling you guys that they did not have the fanciest cattle in south central Missouri. Heavily influenced by your Arkansas, which is right there. I'm not knocking the cattle at all, because the cattle have condition out of there, and they got a lot of stretch to them. And I tell you what, there's a lot of feeders, especially in Kansas, that's what they're looking for. You know, those fancy square-made, fleshy and fuzzy looking calves there that they raise on in the northern plains that are all black and blocky made. That's not what everybody wants. They don't always want that. In Kansas, they want something that's got some stretch to them that they can put out on the grass, and those cattle will really put that weight on. And then those cattle will feed good too, and they'll sell at the same price when they're fat. But you get in the northern plains, everybody's hung up on quality. Yes, we need quality, but we also have to have select meat, and a lot of those guys would rather just put pounds on as fast as they can possibly do it, and that's what some of those condition type cattle will do in that Ozarks Regional Stockyard region right in there around West Plains, Missouri. But 61 head of mixed steers, I'm sure they had a good condition to them, weighed 548 pounds at 197 1/4. It's a monster price there. Look at Fredonia, Kansas. 2:30 in the afternoon, had 60 head of 609-pound steers, bring a $180. I tell you, you think they're not getting ready for these grass cattle around the Flint Hills and Ozarks and places like that? They are pushing for those cattle, those stalker type cattle that have the go to them. Bluegrass Stockyards of Maysville, Kentucky, just before 11 o'clock on Tuesday morning, sold 66 head of 663-pound steers at $165. Tax some freight on those babies in about 30 days to get them straightened out and used to the new climate, and see where you're at. But they're selling those cattle good as we're starting to get into the warmer months out there in Kentucky. But that was at Bluegrass at Maysville. And on some big steers in Kingsville, Missouri, at the Kingsville Livestock Auction, 60 head of 926-pound steers bring $144. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.